And we are live from a wonderful weekend here in Cambridge, in New England. It is spectacular outside. All of you could eat your hearts out because this is the kind of weekend that those postcards get made. You know, the postcards of the billion beautiful leaves and the big apples and the wonderful environment and the dogs and the Irish dogs and the Irish setters. Oh, it's the whole thing. It's the whole gestalt, schmaltz. In the weekend. This is Jeffrey Lant. I'm here with Jeffrey Ninnis from Cornwall. We have nothing as good as this. All the leaves of Cornwall put together don't equal one of our leaves. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do the usual Chamber of Commerce business to make sure that we have bamboozled. I am the CEO and the co-founder of Worldprofit. This program is called Anything Goes, and as you can see, we're already off to an interesting start. We've been doing this program for many, many years now. In fact, we've been doing it for so long because this is the longest running live internet webcast in the world. And every day we meet here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time to shed a little of our glamour on you. Shall we just say? We'll just do it like that. Chris, do you have anything to say to the folks before we get started?
Yes, and we've had a beautiful day here in Cornwall as well, where all our leaves are hand painted.
And that's why there is only one tree that does the business, and a lot of people. In the 19th century, they used to have convicts break up rocks. Apparently, we updated the punishment to something colorful and artistic. What we're going to do here is we're going to start by having Chris. He's often up here with me. He knows the drill. We're going to have him read an article that I've written about, guess what? Autumn in New England. It seems very appropriate that we do that. So, Chris, without further ado, we're going to start with that and then segue to our program.
Okay. Autumn comes to New England, September 2011. And we are glad of it. By Dr. Jeffrey Lant. Author's program note. Our travellers to Massachusetts arrived at Plymouth just in time for winter. Too late for autumn, specifically trotting on terra firma December 26, 1620. And they were ever irritated, taking the opportunity to lambast the luckless captain who delivered them so late after a most disagreeable voyage. My dear, anxious for something new and exciting, but not, so they all later agreed, so new and exciting as a standard walloping, punishing New England winter they came to know so well. And so the mystique of autumn, as something worth having and decidedly superior to what follows, was planted at once, and has never waned, and for good reason. Autumn in New England is not merely a season. It is a mood, evocative, sacerdotal, an essential experience for the sensitive and anyone with the soul of a poet. It is a season that forces us to deal with transition, decay, transient beauty and history scattered around and through the hamlets, towns and occasional city. Indeed, there is a feeling, never shared with outsiders and casual visitors, that each and every citizen of New England is merely history that hasn't quite happened yet. History in New England is not merely vestiges of things past. It is present reality, no ghosts, but events of long ago, our neighbours still as fresh today as at inception. This view of ancestors puzzles casual travellers who have no ancestors. They come from places without history, and are, of course, of no consequence whatever. They naturally take umbrage, and as many pictures of dying foliage as the traffic allows. We are glad to see the back of them. States that more or less make up New England. It is well known to even least educated that New England is comprised of 6 states: Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Connecticut. The least educated, however, know nothing more than that, and are not, therefore, in a position to inform you of sundry facts which, if left untold to you, will create problems for life and submerge your social standing. Here are the facts. Massachusetts is the largest New England state and offers a dizzying array of important events, people, ideas, institutions, etc. I don't have either the time or inclination to share these significant details. For that, you must visit any one of our dwindling number of bookstores and buy something. We need the money. Autumn in Massachusetts is most about students arriving at perfect academies and institutions of higher learning graced by Corinthian columns and departments of humanities beset by troubles and the budget act at every side. Such institutions attract the brightest students of the world. Sadly, even these are less educated than their parents, though they pay substantially more for what no one anymore considers a good education. Future students enrolled in such places in what is known as a base will come for only a few weeks or even a few days. The prime objective being to say they went to whatever institution they may claim, and to have the picture taken in front of those venerable columns. Of course, it goes without saying that tuition and fees will not decline. Rather the reverse. You will remember, we need the money. Rhode Island, minute state, longest name. Rhode Island, the littlest state, suffers from an indelible inferiority complex which is produced in what's nicknamed Little Rhodey, the insistent narrative of the mouse that roared. Rhode Islanders take no guff, and with that chip on the shoulder defy you to knock it off. Even the boldest think twice before they try. Rhode Island and Providence Plantations was founded by zealous brethren who grew appalled and aggravated with the sanctimonies and regulations of their former colleagues in Massachusetts, and walked to a new destiny, one in which their truth was the truth. So busy with the business of God, they had no time for the wistful vistas and God-delivered splendors of autumn. In due course, after their relationship with God was well and truly cemented, and its manifestations, money, began to pour in, Rhode Islanders of means, and there were many, had no time for autumn. They were spending their millions on sad commandeering culture, and so nicking their fortunes and ensuring figures of more enlightened, less respectful generations. Later, in recent years, Rhode Islanders still had no time for autumn. Gambling, lurid sex, and corrupt politics held sway. And to those who indulged, the only season that mattered was the season in which their nocturnal activities waxed. As a result of all these episodes, Rhode Island came to know nothing at all of autumn. Something the more enlightened amongst them should regret, but probably do not. New Hampshire. There was no Massachusetts in the old country. There was no Rhode Island. But there was a peaceful place, a verdant place called Hampshire. It is no wonder new citizens of the new land wish to memorialize it and pass a nostalgic hour reliving the place they would always remember as home. Such a place is a good place to see and to reflect upon the verities of autumn. Its beauty, its sadness, such beauty must be fleeting. Go then to New Hampshire, where their byword is live free or die. It is a silly motto, only better rendered live free or fight. Something feisty, bold, gutsy, uplifting. But at least the folks in New Hampshire mean well. Though that isn't always enough. After all, at time of fiscal austerity, they have wasted millions promoting that foolish motto of theirs. And Vermont. Now we come to the holy of autumnal holies, a place as sanctified and revered as Delphi. It's everything that every Sunday travel supplement says it is. Villages rendered and by Curia and Ives, places of you're sure they are imagining. I confess I love Vermont in autumn. And so that is when I schedule my classes at the University of Vermont. One bows low before such a riot of glorious colours and swiftly dying verdures. Still, I have a pattern. Vermont is not a name of old England. Rather, it is a name of ancient France. For Vermont, Green Mountain, was an outpost of the Bourbons, and reminds us they dreamed imperially too, if less successfully than England. Perhaps locals kept the name, which concerns me because it was tangible evidence that they had pulverized those Frenches, even to the extent of annexing these words from their language for eternity. An insult to the people most conscious of the outrage of insult. En garde. Maine, Connecticut. As far as autumn in New England is concerned, after the in-your-face exuberance of Vermont, the rest is dross. Maine, after all, was just a hunk of Massachusetts ripped off the Commonwealth in 1820 and established as a free state to balance the slave state of Missouri, then entering the Union. But we canny folks of Massachusetts are glad. Mainers are poor and exigent. They really need the money. And as for Connecticut, the less said the better. Connecticut looks today as it has for eons, south to New York and Pennsylvania. The folk in Hartford and environs condescend to the rest of New England. We hate them cordially and have made sure to sell them everything we can at inflated prices. See, they have the money. And at the end, autumn in New England. Book your tickets at once. Bring the family, the more the merrier. And remember, bring all your credit cards and instruments of credit. Keep in mind at all times, we need the money. Oh, and by the way, should you like a little light music to accompany this article, I recommend Edith Piaf singing Autumn Leaves. In Johnny Moore's English, Jacques Prévert French. It is superb. You'll find it in any search engine. Do it now before the falling leaves have all drifted past your window.
Well, I shouldn't love this article so much, but I'm telling you, it hits. I haven't read it. It hits the nail right on the head about skewer everyone around here for a buck. People out there. This is a very big leaf peepers weekend. So I wouldn't mind if my colleagues from New England are out. What did you think of this article? I mean, it's a very much in your modality.
Yes, I was reading in one of our papers last week, I think, about all the people that come to New England just to look at the leaves. And they'll drive for miles and queue for hours in traffic just looking at leaves.
Marketing, public relations, how we love you. I mean, if enough people say it's the pièce de résistance of their life. I mean, the truth of the matter is, all right, Chris, this is it. Dr. Lant speaking. Yes, Sean, I'm in conference right now. I'll have to call you back. Damn. I shouldn't have been so exuberant. It wasn't them. Why do people persist making phone calls to me which they know are never going to be returned? we'll, one of the things I want to do during this time, we'll have to start it now, is we have a number of people in the audience who will want consultations. So what we're doing today is we're offering free consultation to every single person who's in this room at this exact moment, which happens to be 74. And so if any people in this audience want to know how to make money on the internet, we are prepared to offer you a consultation right now, which really is going to be Christopher, because once the phone rings, I'm going to be indisposed for a couple of minutes. For those of you that wonder what the hell I'm doing and why we're jumping around, sort of, well, and this is anything I have to remind you, anyway, is because there is a very big sale in New York today, which is going on this very second, at a company called Kentshire, Kentsshire. Those of you who are in England will understand the reference. Those of you who are from, say, Kansas will never get it anyway, clueless things are. When I was in graduate school 100 years ago, I used to order Architectural Digest, which is a magazine designed to make you feel very, very, very irritated that you weren't born a trillionaire. And Kentshire had some of the most beautiful ads. Every issue, the Kentshire ads were just plain works of art. Now, I don't know whether they ever sold anything, because they never asked for a sale. A world beyond beauty, Kentshire. That kind of thing. Little tags. They never asked. Sometimes you had to look for the address. I mean, this was very Architectural Digest. I presume Architectural Digest is still around, but I don't read it anymore because it was, in retrospect, it seemed rather foolish to spend so many tens of thousands of dollars to produce Kentshire, the place you always wanted to be. That kind of ad. Nonsense. So I sort of lost track of them over the years, and then I received in the mail a catalog for Kentshire. They're going out of business. With the money they've spent, I'm not surprised. Their advertising growth must have been astonishing. But today it's coming up, and I'm waiting for a call. My lot is 2 lots from the end of the first session. The first session ends in 20 minutes. So, and they could very easily be slow. But it's a big deal. It's being held on a Saturday, which for those of you that don't know, almost never are there auctions on Saturdays at Southern Basic Christians. Almost never. But I think had to be stuffed into this period of time that there's a lot of sales, big sales on this fall calendar. So Chris, were helping me sort of play out a child, I don't want to say childhood, but early adulthood dream. Well, you too can come to Kentshire if you can prove a net worth of at least $20 million. I want to be able to tell my story. And, well, anyway, the catalog is in here. We're waiting for everything to work out. And there we go. And in the meantime, we're going to some people here consult. We've had a very good morning of really talking bluntly to people, real bluntly, about what it takes to make money on the net. And as the people come in, we will welcome them. So there you are. It takes time to play out all these weird king judgments about Kentshire, a place good enough for Christopher Nennis, and maybe not you. There was always that feeling that if you weren't designated with a little motto or didn't have a secret emblem tattooed on the inside of your wrist, that you weren't good enough to walk through the door. Now, London shopkeepers and Paris shopkeepers have been good at that for several hundred years.
I wouldn't go to Kent to live. I wouldn't like to live in Kent because it's far too close to France. And it's a stopping off point for illegal immigrants, so who the hell wants to live there?
As usual, Chris is letting it go. Well, I have news for you. My family comes from Kent. That is the cradle of the Delaware family, going back to the 13th century. So at that point, Chris Nennis was an illegal immigrant. So we'll let that go. In any event, this program is divided into two audiences. There is the live audience here in the studio right now, coming from all over the world. And there is a much larger audience that will listen to this on YouTube, which will be posted by Patrice after a bit. Sometime she likes me to say sometime later today. She doesn't want to be committed to the exact minute, and I understand that. Sometime later today, Patrice will post this if you're lucky. So in the meantime, we wait for some guests to come in and ask for the free consultation. And I'd like to speak to James Thomas this time. James Thomas, are you there? There he is. Hello, I was already a member of... When I join, will I need to delete my account? You know what? It's very simple. James, what you want to do is click on the blue box that says support and put in a support ticket. That'll do it.
Oh, you don't need to rejoin, James. You can change your password in Worldprofit. It's quite simple.
There you are, James. And James, were you given a free copy of my book, Net Profits? Did you get a copy of Net Profits? And did you read this book? Well, I'm mistaken. If I write it, you have to read it. That's the deal. Did you read it? Okay. Now, one of the things that we're talking about in there is video marketing. I'm going to share with you guys another reason for video marketing. Over the course of the last several days, you've all been following the developments of the Ebola case, which is a textbook tailor-made case for chaos, confusion, idiocy, and just complete lack of control. One of the things that would help in this, which I'll be writing about later today, is that if we had video marketing available to inform the world, press a button. We have the technology already. The way the Ebola virus is playing out, it's a tailor-made case of politicians who know nothing of technology making decisions which might have been very well in 1920, but are completely insulting today. And we have the President of the United States saying that he's going to go out he's going to send a SWAT team into West Africa. I don't think that viruses, now I'm not really on good terms with viruses per se, but I don't think that viruses need a SWAT team. Now, Chris, I'm sure that this is the kind of thing that, it's kind of like the back of your mind, you start to hear people and you filter it out, and then all of a sudden it just won't go away, and the next day there's a bigger type and more ink being wasted. What is your feeling about this? Because I want to make a very strong case here for something very important, and very important to our membership, which is the uses of video marketing in international global crises. And here, this virus is tailor-made for people at the highest levels of government, having the technology that all of you have. This is the thing. You all can utilize the technology that's international, global. Chris, what do you think about that? And this thing is growing up. We're treating a 21st century illness with 18th century diplomacy, so-called diplomacy, and response.
Yes, what are they going to do, this SWAT team? Are they going to fight this virus with machine guns and batons and shields?
Damn right, Chris. We got an arsenal here that just won't quit. What is your problem? Well, we're going to raid West Africa with a horde of napalm, nuclear bombs, and I don't know, bubblegum cheer or something. It's paralyzing and difficult. Yeah, for the cost of the whole bloody country. We can't seem to integrate technology into life. And the way technology is so far ahead of the reality of politics. So what I want to make sure, get my point here in case they people at Kinshard do call me, it's always possible they might not. And I want to speak particularly to James Thompson, who now has left us. Wonderful. And anybody else. Talking about the apt use of technology. Now, from my standpoint, and as I said, I'll be writing about this, the internet provides a forum for immediately timely information on all aspects of the crisis. You can have it. You could have an aspect of it that would be dedicated to the average person. You would have that would be dedicated to hospital personnel, etc., etc. You could divide the categories up, update them at a moment's notice. And you keep it away from people like the president, who thinks that we're going to send in a SWAT team, and somehow, because they look so good in their uniforms, that this is going to solve the problem. I don't know who they're going to shoot. I mean, I don't see them spraying the heavens with bullets so that we get a there could be some vermin right up there. Bird, shoot them. Does this make any sense to you? I'm watching this thinking, are these people living in the same world? Their knowledge of technology is zero. Not even a little bit. It's just zero. Obama screwed up on the healthcare registration. We all are vividly aware of that. And now he's got another chance to make up for it, and he's blowing this too. How does this read in Europe? Now, Chris, for example, is from the UK, which, by the way, may or may not be Europe, depending on which political party you're talking to.
We're definitely not Europe and Cornwall. But
there you go. So
just this week,
another little problem.
Just this week, there's a ship sailed from the port just down the road with 630 sailors, 3 Merlin helicopters, and this is an RFA hospital ship going to Sierra Leone, and they anticipate that they'll have 12 to 15 93-bed hospital facilities up and running before the end of November. I'm going to Africa to do that, but here they're closing hospital wards, closing down hospital beds, because they haven't got the money to do it. But they've got the money to do. Send them halfway around the world for nothing. All they do is teach these people to keep themselves clean, and instead of kissing the dead bodies when they're dead, is just they wash them down, they clean them, because they don't want them burnt. But unfortunately, that's what they have to do.
Okay, let's carry on that theme with Calvin Ackland. Calvin, this is his first visit, and we want Calvin to be free to welcome here in the Live Business Center. And Calvin, say hello to us so that we know you're getting it. I go back to Louis XV. The reason that Louis XV died was because he wanted to look inside a coffin on its way to be buried, and it so happened the person had died of smallpox, and he caught smallpox from looking inside and no doubt touching the sides of the casket and whatever else he was doing. People don't understand that what you need is some kind of cleanliness. I'm calling Ebola the disease of, it's, first of all, it's easily dealt with if you follow some directions. But first of all, you have to know it. Not only do you have to know what the directions are, but you have to post them in a way that makes sense to people. We have a disease here that this technology that George Koch has invented could solve. And by that I mean, take this technology, plunk it down in Washington or New York or London or wherever you want to have it, and start developing a site that was all proactive in terms of, okay, so you're a person out of it that there's been no cases reported within your jurisdiction. Good. Say it. And say, and this is why. We wash, we clean, we don't kiss corpses, this and that. That would be 99.9999% of people right now would be in that category. You agree? You agree that we could just with this alone have your message printed in 12 languages, have it printed in 100 languages. The bottom line is get your facts out for the human community. That's point number one. Point number two, have your information up there for doctors and nurses. Number three, what to do if you suspect that there's been a case. There has to be information. It could all be handled here on the internet in a universal way, and should be handled universally. We still have these politicians thinking in terms of their county, either a city, either a state, whatever. If you are clean and neat and, whatever, then you're not going to get it. It's as simple as that. Anybody want to chime in on this? Anyone want to add their 2 cents? Anyway, I have spent the last several days. Go ahead.
As you say, get these instructions out and get them to the villages where this disease is occurring or where it originated from, and get it into the headman's head and the witch doctor's heads that this is what has to be.
Well, this starts to the stuff that starts to really be bothersome. I've spent the last several days reading up on this, and the more that I read, the more irritated I become, because this is a disease of opportunity. It comes about because the virus sees an opening, and it enters the opening. If you don't know, the virus can do anything. It have to jump on your head. If you don't have the relevant conditions, it's not going to get inside. It's going to stay outside. So here's some of the problems that we face. Yesterday, a document was released, an internal report, management report out of the World Health Organization, WHO. And this was a whopper of a document. It laid out in detail the chaos at WHO. Now, we started looking around. This disease was located, first identified in 1976. As diseases go, it's pretty recent. Now, of course, the fact that we've had all this time meant that we had more chance to screw up. There was never been a universal approach to this disease, but there's never been the technology. The internet has been effective for the last 20 years. We could have had a unified response. For over 20 years, the opportunity has existed, because the technology existed, of doing international programming. What do you think about that? For 20 years, the solution in quotation marks has been a little bit of this and this. We got WHO lack of coordination over here. We have governors of states claiming that they're going to shut down the airports over here. We've got every Looney Tune in the world jumping on this. And I'm going to say this, very easy problem to solve. Now, stone me, but this is not difficult. This is, as diseases go, compared to smallpox, yellow fever, the Spanish influenza after World War I, those were really bad. Polio, that's another one. Those were difficult to deal with. This is a piece of cake. Unfortunately, well, who's screwing up is the politicians, like our president sending in the SWAT team, and like David Cameron over there in the UK, and sent us a hospital ship to Sierra Leone. After all, Sierra Leone has now declared itself disease-free because it has gone for more than 45 days with no new cases, which is twice the amount of time that it takes. Meanwhile, the internet / technology / international technology community is sitting here frothing at the mouth saying, you knuckleheads, what the hell are you doing when the technology exists right now? By Monday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, we could have it would be primitive, we would have problems, we could have a site up, and we could start promoting it. It's the kind of thing, we've got to look upon the internet not as a publication. Some people still don't grasp. A publication is a document you take to a print shop and you run something through and you come up and go, oh yes, a piece of paper and a newspaper. Technology is not a publication. It is not a periodical. It is a process. And we could, by Monday morning, even at this late day on a Saturday afternoon, we could have that. What do you think about that, Chris? We could have, in some preliminary way, for the first time, we could begin to have a unified response. And by the way, before Chris answers that, just as a footnote, the Center for Disease Controls in Atlanta has a site. It's also written in impenetrable doctorese. You have to have a medical degree from, at the very least, the University of Kansas to be able to figure out what the hell they're talking about. You're not going to get people from West Africa or the Republic of the Congo, which is where this thing supposedly started in 1976. You're not going to get them to go there to read that. You have to do much better than that in terms of international communications. Your thoughts on this? And you're going to wonder, why am I even telling you all this?
Yes, as Kofi Annan, the former president, former secretary of the United Nations, said either yesterday or the day before, there's nothing done about this disease until it happens in USA and Europe. And that's basically what it comes down to. If it doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect anybody. And
well, I want to address that as a simple Western. Well, if it is true that the United States and Western Europe ignored it, which is quite likely to be the case, why the hell don't the African states take some responsibility for the diseases which they are in their territory, their jurisdiction? That kind of a comment from Kofi Annan, who knows how to play these race politics, these international politics like a fine card game, is insulting at this point. Because this is not the disease like that costs billions of dollars to deal with, although I think now that it's front page news, you'll see billions of dollars. You'll probably see home care workers come to Massachusetts and to Cambridge and say, "Sir, have you had your vaccination?" "Excuse me, we've never had a case in recorded history, but sir, we have to have them be inoculated." "Well, inoculated with what? We don't have a serum." The whole reason why I'm telling you this, as we go further into this, first of all, is because I cannot believe how far behind the technology curve, the leadership of the world, it still remains. First one, does that bother you, Chris, to know that these people have at their disposal the technology and don't know what the hell to do with
it? Yes, it does bother me. It bothers me that kids in school, 8 or 9 years old, know more about the internet and technology than our so-called leaders.
Yeah, this has got to be the irony of ironies. You want to have it signed up by Monday morning 13-year-olds. You pay them off in pizzas and bubble gum, and they'll have give them a couple of free pillows, and they'll go create a site for you. It's sad, but it is a fact.
I had a problem with my phone. I couldn't sort out my phone, and my granddaughter, she's 5 years old. She said, "What's the matter, Granddad?" I said, "Oh, this phone doesn't work." Oh, and I gave it to her and to play with, and within 10 minutes she had it working, no problem. So that's what I do in future, is take it to my granddaughter.
Well, I want to say again, here at Worldprofit, I'm going to bring this into our realm. We have members who are not taking the course, the training course, the internet training course that I developed, the video training. I can assure you this: video. If you want not just a good job, but a great job, you are going to master video marketing. Let me give you some straws in the wind here. It was announced this week that Fidelity Investments now has $2 trillion under investment. You say, so what does that have to do with the price of apples in Vermont? Simply this, that they're using video marketing as their latest gambit to attract new business. They're going to go, $2 trillion isn't enough, try maybe $10 trillion ultimately. So you've got one of the, technically, Fidelity Investments qualifies as the first mutual fund company. Well, so they certainly got a grip-snorting job, $2 trillion under investment. And they use video technology. We have a lot of people in this community, Chris, who just go, "I don't want to learn how to be a monitor. I don't want to do that." Well, I got news for you. Those people, the people that are hawking their stuff at these high-grade investment companies, make a hell of a lot more money than you can imagine. And that's open to people who are here. Video marketing is where it's at. And I've already been detailing, as it happened, the events with Vanguard Mutual Fund, which they argue back and forth who's bigger, whether Vanguard is bigger than McKinsey. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they're both doing video marketing. And where the high-stakes technology financial services game steps in, you've got a real telling point about the existence of technology. Did you know? I think you know I've talked about this before, but the signs are all there for a massive movement into the world. And the people, we're saying, people, if you want, we get all sorts of people in here who say, get a job. They don't have a job, they don't have a job. You have to go where the jobs are. Where are you supposed to jobs are? Do you think the jobs are in manufacturing in the state of Kansas? No, they're not. But every day that I sit here and I look at my mail, and I see, oh, now Fidelity's involved, and now Vanguard's involved. And these jobs will pay in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and more, depending on if you're good. What do you say about that?
Yes. So, just in the UK, in the last 15, 20 years, 90% of manufacturing jobs have disappeared. And they're being replaced by
low-paying service jobs.
Insurance, and holiday jobs and stuff like that don't pay anything.
The truth is, if you want to make money in the job, you've got to go to where the money is and where the jobs are. We see them being created right in front of our very eyes around here. So let's see. You don't have any that I want to ask. Michael Weiss, well, it's in the story. I want to remember everything. I'm on tape. We'll just say hi to Michael. We'll get that.
Yeah,
all right.
That's why
So first of all, we've got new jobs being created more than you can ever imagine. Everything that can be sold, and I'm going to give you an idea. We all know that the Chinese market is hot. How would you like to run a course out of your living room that talked about the 10 things you need to know about investing in China, about exporting to China, about getting your products produced in China? In other words, all the aspects of the Chinese economic situation. Do you think anybody wants to do that? I got news for you. They all want to do this. You've got to think of where the money is, and then you know where there's going to be. The money will be in the list. We have people who don't want to promote. We tell them promote, and you get lists. And you get lists. You sell the list. This sounds easy. This looks easy to me. You have a list. You grow your list. You see what you can sell to the list, and every day you sell something to the list, so that every day you make money. And QED, where is the problem? Chris, I'm just absolutely staggered by, and I'm delighted to put this program on the map today. Because with the YouTube program, that's what we'll do, to point out to people that they're thinking too small. The world is in a period of basic transformation, and financial services industry is really in the vanguard. Now, how does this fit into healthcare?
Rick,
good, a person. Rick Brown. Rick, come in. We've been waiting for you. Rick, you've arrived during our program Anything Goes, which happens every day at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we would like to speak to you and introduce you to our company. Rick Brown, if you hear us, put a Y in the chat area. Rick Brown. And Patrice, I want you to put a signal on the screen when the program is 55 minutes long. I'm sorry, make it 50 minutes long, 50 minutes long. Let me know, Patrice. Put it for Chris. Patrice, can you do that? Put a sign on the screen that says 50 minutes elapsed. And Rick Brown, when I speak to you. Okay, so we have all these jobs for all these companies that sell university, or where we want to sell university. For example, a program, I'm going to speak to you now as I used to speak to my clients in the olden days when I didn't deal with people who thought that $99 was a crushing blow. A crushing blow. $99, I mean, I'm living in a period of disconnect. So if I had a program, the program would be, you could have a program geared to the Chinese, how to identify clients for what you're selling, and I do the flip side, programs for the people who want to enter the Chinese market. Some bright entrepreneur is going to make hundreds of millions of dollars by simply telling people, first you get this form from the government, and you fill it out, you will need an agent, you get an agent, you know, agent charges, that kind of stuff. It's just plain pretty, delivered by video with an accompanying checklist of things that you can do with, run along with it. It would be like the video and a 16-page booklet on the essentials of entering the Chinese market. First of all, do you agree with me, Chris, that this is a period of time when whole new classes of entrepreneurs will come up? And these are not the people who say, join my MLM and you will make 50 cents a week for the rest of your friggin' life, which is 3 weeks, and then we'll get you in another one. Start thinking about where the real money's at. And the real money in this particular illustration is in China, and for people who want to make it. First of all, comment on that.
Yes, the Chinese market is wide open. I mean, there's almost 3 billion people in China, and most of them got money to spend and don't know where to spend it or how to spend it.
Chinese rate of savings is dramatically higher than anyone else's in the world. The Chinese work like demons, hard work. They never stop. They don't take any holidays. For one thing, there's nowhere to go. They've got nothing but money to burn. They've got a savings rate that makes it look like a joke. So they're got capped. There's no recognized place in the United States, to my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to give out all this information. People need to know how to tap into those people. How do you do it? And the people that come up with that are going to be using video marketing, both ways of the proposition, and they will make a great deal of money. And the cost of doing this project is negligible. It's a joke. The cost of developing a list, which will be the key, and the cost of marketing to that list is a joke. Now let's go a little bit further and go back to Ebola. When I finish writing this, it will not be wiped out by a SWAT team. It'll be wiped out by the internet in terms of our video programming. Now I am very keen that people will understand that Worldprofit is on the cutting edge of this. We've always been receptive to the new uses of technology. One problem is the problem when people come in here, we're so far ahead. The little Mary Jane coming in here who wants to make a couple of shekels at home, single mother, she doesn't understand squat. I said to one of our new customers the other day, are you aware of the fact that we close your business for you? She said, no. I said, you're not aware that monitors are here 24/7? No, never. So she read nothing. So we have this huge chasm between them that knows and them that will probably never know. And it's and the rest of you, I'm sure, sense this as well. All the monitors sense it. What do you think about that?
Yes, that amazes me. People can come in here and I see it quite often. They go on the order form and they have no idea what it is they're buying. And how can someone come in and become a silver member of Worldprofit and not know that we have a sales staff here or a monitor staff here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, closing sales just for them? The mind boggles.
I'm going to interrupt you, and I want you to we're going to bring in Paul Ingerson. Oh, sorry, we're not. He ran away. Go on, carry on then.
No, that's what I say. It just amazes me how someone can join a program and not know what it is they're joining and why and what they're getting.
Much less, here's the political dichotomy that goes on in this situation. Politicians can't actually say, we'll get your jobs back, all the jobs you have here, we'll get every one of them back. Because first of all, that's a blatant, flagrant lie. Those jobs are gone. They're never going to come back. There will be new jobs that come as the technology changes. Yes, there will, along the lines that I'm talking about. And many of them, perhaps a large percentage of them, will involve video marketing. Now, still, people don't understand the video marketing. They don't understand the importance of the list. In video marketing, it's the list that's the key, just as in all aspects of business. If you're not developing lists, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. Let me say it again. If you're not developing lists, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Let's go jump ahead back to Ebola. How are we going to get the news out? Lists! Who's going to get it? The World Health Organization? No, they're useless. We need people who will develop lists of physicians, and they can be a million different lists. Doesn't matter how many there are. What matters is they exist. So here at Worldprofit, we train you how to develop lists. You can use those lists for anything. So we're coming to the end of this segment, but this is the beginning of a series of blasts. First of all, if you are pretending that you're a leader of the Western world and you're still talking about the SWAT team, you need to have a very serious have a technology advisor who comes in and gives you some serious talking to. Twice this weekend, and twice in the last 48 hours, the president looks like an idiot. First of all, he goes to take out his wife for dinner in New York. You know how they like to do that. I'm just an ordinary guy. Give me a beer and I'll be happy kind of crap. It's the same kind of nonsense. When the young woman said to Bill Clinton when he was president, "What are your boxers or brief, Mr. President?" Excuse me, did Louis XIV have days like this? Boxers or briefs? Why don't you ask him whether it's a manual or automated instead? So the president goes to dinner, I think it was in Manhattan, and his credit card bounces. I loved it. That was precious. But he turns to Michelle and he says, "Were you using?" And of course, they're having this little domestic interlude there on the cameras. Michelle, were you? I mean, did I? Did you? Did anybody? Of course, the plain fact was he hadn't used his card in a while, so they canceled it. It's not in use. But that was their first, the incident of the credit card, and then there is the incident of course, the SWAT team. Chris, I'm going to ask you to go down and come back at the end of the video. I want to prepare for this animated view of where the money is. The money is in the list. The more lists you have, the more things you can sell, the more money you can make. And here's a lady who's doing it, Patrice Porter from Big River, Saskatchewan. Let's see what Patrice has to say for us today. She's the wizard of the wires. What do you think about this? Okay, you want to be in my SWAT? You want to be in my SWAT team? Yeah. I'm going to West Africa and shoot bullets at microbes.
Yeah, that's like people not utilizing the power of the internet. Like, it is a very powerful technology we have here, and the wonders that you can do with it. And I mean, it really fascinates me being in a rural area, somewhat isolated, that the internet actually brings the world to me, connects me to the whole world. And so there's no excuse for when things like disease or running the country can be solved with just connecting people and using the power of the internet. No real excuse. But
we have very serious problems, but they're not the problems people think.
Yeah, that's...
In other words, I'm going to stick to my challenging statement. If we started right this minute, we could have a website up by Monday morning. It would be primitive. It would be incomplete. But it would be the beginning of more than the combined governments of the world have put together since the disease was discovered in 1976. We would do more in the next 36 hours than they managed to do in as many years.
Yeah.
With all the so-called resources at their fingertips.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't understand that, that is your problem right there. The whole issue is about lists.
And connecting.
Lists and and the global thinking. Yes, and the connection.
Yeah. Connecting with people.
So tell the people what you do.
I connect with...
having a coronary.
Yeah. I connect with people, and you can check out my Home Business Central at www.20waystoprofit.com. And I also connect with people to help them create abundance by gardening, and that's at www.gardeningforfoodsecurity.com. And you can connect to the replays of the Anything Goes programs up on the new Worldprofit Tube at www.worldprofittube.com, and on the YouTube channels Patrice Porter, and the earlier programs are on the YouTube channel Pat Porter. And with that, I shall see you at the video marketing and meeting. And the next, anything goes.
Yeah, let's bring up Chris Ninnis for his final comments.
Yes, just to note to President Obama, forget the SWAT teams. Send in a couple of little old ladies with mops and buckets. They'll do a lot more good.
You know, the sad thing is that that's absolutely the truth. Ninnis doesn't even rise to the level of sarcasm on this one. He usually does, but he's not telling the God's honest truth. A couple of muckets and a gallon of Lysol will be worth their weight in gold. I'm sitting here in Cambridge in my space capsule as usual, just I sputtering with rage, perhaps you've noticed. And that's the soft side of me. I find it so incredibly painful to watch the stupidity, and I have to use that word, of our so-called leadership. And I'm talking not just political leadership, I'm talking about the WHO, the World Health Organization, skewered by this internal management document, by the way, is dynamite about how cronyism persists. There are unqualified doctors running in Africa particularly, massive cronyism, things that don't work, no improvements. And this, friends, this disease has been sitting there right looking us in the eye since 1976. For 40 years we've known about this. Look what we produced. We're still back at the, hey, Michelle, did you use my credit card? That's the president's brain is at. He's wondering whether Michelle is supporting a much younger man. I have such a hard time dealing with this level of sustained mediocrity and stupidity. I know that Ninnis he's probably just like, hold, bar the door there before you want to say any last thoughts. We're going to get arrested here. They'll probably send us to West Africa to work on the Lysol crew.
Yes, it's the same with all the Western world leaders. They have an answer to every problem, and it's called bombs or guns. Anything says they're out of the depth. They haven't got a clue.
You know, to teach people to use buckets and mops, I'm going to say this, and people may go over their will. It's not obvious. I mean, if you've never used a bucket before, you're in West Africa and you've never seen how the uses of Lysol and the cleaners, I mean, we can go right back to the very beginning. This is a mop. This is what it does. This is what you do. This is what happens when you don't use the mop. This is the thing that gets released. It is all basics. And I know what's going to happen over the course of the next days. I'm going to make one of my famous predictions, and then I'm going to go down and bury my head. Oh, God, today I could use a very strong glass of bourbon. It's a perfect bourbon weekend here in Cambridge. Weather. And I need one anyway to just deal with this idiocy. We need, at the grassroots, the very most grassroots of this disease, to use the technology. I want to thank George Kosh again and again and again. George! Thanks for sticking with Worldprofit. You could have gone out and be the savior of the whole world with the technology. But I don't know that I want to turn it over to any of the doctors' information. George says he likes doing this. This is a question of love. It's a question of saving the freaking planet. I'm beginning to feel like, Superman and Lois Lane and Jimmy from the Daily Planet. Chris, thank God for you. We detail the idiocy here every single day. What I want to say to you members is, promote, promote, promote. You don't grasp it. The list is the key, whatever you're selling. If you're just trying to sell one little insy-pincy product, you're making a huge mistake. That isn't where the money is. That isn't what Amazon.com is doing. Using lists, developing lists. And wait till Jeffrey Bezos over at Amazon hears the magic words. Video programming? He'll be selling courses for $5,000 a piece. And you guys will be sorry that you didn't listen to me when you could have done it for free. George, maybe we should tack a $10,000 price tag on the video training. Maybe that would get people to pay attention. Anyway, I am going to watching the SWAT team this weekend, Chris. I'm going to put my battle garb on and run some John Wayne movies in the background. It's going to be fun. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time in this space tomorrow. Thanks to all the participants. Thanks to Chris Ninnis and to Patrice Porter and to all of you. And to the people that didn't come, I'll give you the Worldprofit cranberry and raspberry. What the hell are you thinking about? No football game in the history of the world has been as important as one day on the internet. Done right. See you all around.